Alright, fires the final yellow video for my lowball series. We'll be lowballing the champion blue. I believe in this fight I'll be tackling the Jolteon version of his team, but the strategy works exactly the same against any of the other champion teams. It's literally pretty meaningless as to which champion you're taking on. The important parts of the fight are the lead and the third Pokemon, which are the same in each of the versions of the fight. Um, we'll be tackling this fight. I guess I must have been doing something else in the middle of this attempt and gotten distracted for momentarily. Maybe I should have gone in and sped up that footage. Oh well. Anyway, we're going at this with a level 6 Zubat. I named mine Zubruce because I'm really clever. And it is technically doable with a lower level Pokemon, certainly. That's the lowest level you can get Zubat, though. So this Sandslash here knows 4 moves, of course. It's got Earthquake, it's got Poison Sting, it's got Slash, and it's got Fury Swipes. And our entire win condition is to dodge Fury Swipes on the first turn and then set up Substitute and double team. And so with Zubat, it will not use Earthquake or Poison Sting, so it's 50-50 on whether it uses the Fury Swipes, and then 80% chance of Fury Swipes hitting, so, 10% chance of turn 1 happening. Unfortunately, Pidgey is just that much lower because he will also use the Poison Sting on Pidgey. So, again, technically doable, but this is already a very difficult fight as it is. I mean, I calced it out to be in the neighborhood of the 1.5% or so odds, and the number of attempts it took me to get this footage, definitely, that seems right. It feels right. It took a lot of time to get an attempt that actually worked. So yeah, same strategy we're doing like in half of these fights where we're setting up Toxic, double team, substitute. There is a bit of an extra layer to this, in that the AI will use a full restore when their health is low on occasion, not consistently. So you might notice when the opponent's Pokemon has like one more tick of health to go, I'll pick Toxic that turn instead of wasting a move, with the thought in mind that then if they do use the full restore, I can immediately re-Toxic them without having to wait another turn in between. And if they don't do anything, then I don't use the move anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Anyway, after his lead Sandslash, though, he uses Alakazam, and then Alakazam's pretty whatever as well. Not a big deal there. And the third Pokemon's Exeggutor. Exeggutor has a fun interaction, which I originally was going to build around the fun interaction. Exeggutor has Leech Seed, which is why we have Mimic on this set. Toxic Leech Seed is just really strong in general. In Gen 1 specifically, the Leech Seed ticks of how much damage it does, it uses the same like spot in the memory or whatever that Toxic does. So when Toxic damage increases, then the Leech Seed damage increases too. So that's like a really fun interaction to play around with. I was originally going to use level 10 Bulbasaur because I found that the level 10 Bulbasaur could just at least sometimes survive. The AI would only use Poison Sting on it, and it would at least sometimes survive that Poison Sting from Sandslash. Um, and so you could actually set up off with that, but then it occurred to me that there was another way of approaching it. So yeah, but we still get to show off the leech seed toxic strats, and it's good because it heals you. It does the same thing. Some of my earlier builds, earlier runs were running rest in this build because you get to basically reuse your substitute, then have have more hit points, and leech seed does very much the same thing. So yeah, there's the Executor. Executor will only use Hypnosis here, and that's a little bit annoying because Hypnosis can go through the substitute. I mean, it's obviously very unlikely to actually hit you, but if it does, um, sleep is super broken. So that's a concern, but not much else you can do about it other than uh, hope it doesn't hit you, or if it does, that you wake up quickly. And unfortunately, I believe Leech Seed does not work on grass types, so I don't use the Leech Seed here. Pretty sure that's even true in Gen 1. Yeah, I had a run where the Executor put me to sleep. Fortunately, it was already poisoned, so it didn't actually, it was still fainted, but then the follow up Pokemon managed to hit me twice in a row while I was sleeping, and so knocked me out, which was like super annoying. Again, this is why part of the reason this fight, almost by definition, is very low percentage. The setup to get it set up is fairly unlikely, and then after that, you can still things can go wrong. I guess I was deciding whether I wanted to use Leech Seed or Toxic there. Opted for Leech Seed. Yeah, the Leech Seed being able to restore like just significant amounts of hit points, even though it doesn't. The counter is very. I think it only does 1/16 instead of 1/8 in this generation. But even still, just the fact that you're so much lower level means you're getting a disproportionately beneficial effect from it, which is nice. And then, of course, once the toxic starts to tick up and heals even more, yeah, you see that one just did a whole ton of hit points. So yeah, then at this point, it's just a matter of continuing to dodge, and when we don't dodge, set up the substitute. Oh, that's something too. I don't remember if any of his Pokemon from here on out actually use the full restores, but if they do, full restore doesn't heal Leech Seed, so that is a factor. Also, I have noticed, depending on how exactly I do it, whether I Leech Seed or Toxic Burst, the it does enough damage between the two of them that it will. I can basically knock them out without them going into the healing range. In a perfect world, I'd love to learn Confuse right here. Like, it would just be something else useful I could do with my time. But I had a situation earlier in one of the previous ones, I think it was Giovanni, where I learned a move partway through the fight and then it messed up my mimicked move. And so I decided to not do that again because I just didn't want to lose Leech Seed. I thought that was more important than having Confuse Ray. Um, but yeah, if Gen 1 worked the way, it should work by any objective sense, then would it be handy to replace the double team with Confuse Ray? Absolutely. Yeah, this was not a scenario where, like, oh, I had to go and scour the uh, Pokemon options move pools to try to find a specific move that helped me win a specific fight. Yeah, actually, that's something I don't think I talked about in any of the previous videos when I talked about moves that I had learned along the way. Um, in Gen 1 specifically, if you Say if you learn a move at level 10 and you level up from level 9 to level 11, you just don't learn that move at level 10. It just skips it. In later generations, of course, you level up and hit every level along the way, so you still would learn any of those moves. But in this generation specifically, if you don't land exactly on the level, you don't learn the move. So that does change the math on a few things when some of these scenarios where I've needed to get a specific move. That's part of the reason I've had to be, like, say, higher than the given level, or had to avoid using certain Pokemon because they didn't actually get the move I needed, even if I would otherwise learn it. And yeah, we just have the Jolteon to go, and I believe it will pretty much be only using Thunder, which is the low accuracy move too. So just should have plenty of. Well, this is a winning run. I shouldn't. There doesn't need to be any drama here. Once these fights started taking like 10 minutes or more consistently, I just stopped showing my first run. And yeah, I believe that is that. So Zebrus is successful at defeating the champion. Yep, you're just a scrub there, Blue. You lost to a level 6 Zubat. And of course, we gotta give Zebrus a reward for successfully defeating the champion. So we're gonna let him evolve into Golbruce. And I've got a little more footage at the end here. I don't know if I'm gonna say anything through it, but I've shot the Hall of Fame to show off the whole team of 5 that made it through the Elite Four and the champion. So that'll do it. I am thinking about tackling Crystal. Maybe I don't know if I'll do the whole thing or not, but at least maybe starting it. We'll see. I'm like a little bit less invested in Gen 2 than I am in Gen 1, but I still have played a lot of Gen 2. Um, and there's at least some interesting things. Obviously, a lot of new mechanics that open up a lot of doors for a lot of wild things, but then other elements are less there. You know, you don't have the infinite stat experience glitch. You don't have uh, the badge boost glitch. Um, and a lot of these like gimmicky broken strategies that we've been using here are not, if they're available at all, they're not available as early in the game. You know, like Toxic's still in the game as a TM, but not until you get to Kanto. So that is that changes the math on a lot of things for sure. And guess I'll see you then.